Hello, Scorpio, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of June 15th through the 21st. And during that time, we will have a waning gibbous moon, which is a good time for self-reflection and rebirth, good time to make positive changes and, really think about getting rid of bad habits and negative thinking, that sort of thing. We then have the last quarter moon on the 19th. And, the reflection kind of continues, but it's a really good time then to release what no longer serves us, as we kind of get ready for the new cycle, new beginnings, but a good time to let go, take responsibility for your past actions. So keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter, Scorpio. So, of course, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't for someone else. And your overall message for this reading: balance spirituality and practicality. All right, let's see what the Scorpio collective has going on this week. And Scorpio, since my readings are free to you, all that I ask in return is that you hit that subscribe button. It really helps my channel. It's super, super easy for you to do. So I will give you just a moment while I'm shuffling to do that right now. Also, if, some people don't realize that you need to be logged into YouTube or Google to do a subscription like that. There was a time in which I didn't know that, and my kids had to explain it to me. So keep that in mind, and I'll give you just a second to take care of that. Thank you so much. And if you've been a subscriber, thank you for coming back and helping me build a community here. I see you and I do appreciate you. So thank you so much. All right. And my weekly reminder, Scorpio, for this week is that you look around and notice the synchronicities that are going on around you. This is a way that the universe puts things in front of you just to give you, it's like little breadcrumbs is the way I see it, to offer you clarity on your unique path. And this could come in the way of, maybe a repeating number or number pattern that you're seeing. This could be a song that you overhear, or maybe even just a little snippet of a conversation that you hear. It also could be in the form of animals, maybe an animal that you don't see every day. Or, yesterday I was in my backyard and there was a group of blackbirds chasing a squirrel through the trees. And I've never seen birds chase a squirrel. And this went on, and there was there's kind of a little nest where the squirrel got in and was hiding, but the birds were being very patient, waiting for the squirrel to come out to attack it. And I guess maybe it got into their nest or something happened, but these birds were so patient. I didn't realize birds were this patient. This went on for a while. When I came in, it was getting so late that I was getting cold, and I came in, didn't even get to see what happened, but these birds were relentless. Anyway, so I take something like that I witness, and I think, what is going on in my life that I need to either apply that sort of patience that those blackbirds were showing, or the way that squirrel was hiding, he wasn't coming out. So, but anyway, little nature things like that, I don't think those are accidents. We get to witness things like that because we need to see that or apply that in our own lives. Anyway, I'm rambling, I know, my apologies. Let's get into this reading without further ado. Scorpio, balance spirituality and practicality. Let's see what you guys have going on this week. Okay, present energy, 7 of Cups. So, looks like you're in a position here to be able to make choices. You've got a lot of choices in front of you. Some of them could be emotional. And what will you choose? There's a lot of different choices here inside these cups if you look at this card very carefully. So yeah, you're just in one of those places where you get to have, I call it the luxury of choice. Your current situation is the Strength card. So will you have the strength to make the right decisions as you're making these choices? We'll go back to your overall message: to balance spirituality and practicality. Are you making choices that are in alignment with your spiritual way of being? And do you have the strength to do that? So keep that in mind. At the root of this situation is your stability here with the 4 of Pentacles. So you're, that's one thing I do say about choices. It is a luxury, and I believe having enough choices is the luxury of stability. Um, when think about being very young, when you start off and you're not very financially stable, you might be just living paycheck to paycheck, and your choices are very limited. You can spend X amount of dollars, you're very budgeted, your budget's very tight, and as you gain some sort of financial stability, you get more options. So that's why I always say that choices are a luxury, and it's not to be squandered, because think back to a time when you didn't have the luxury of choice. What is just behind you is the Five of Swords. So it looks like you might have some choices that are being made here because of maybe some sort of, disruption. This could be an argument. This, a lot of times this card is winning, through maybe deceit. But it looks like whatever is going on with you, there's some people that have been left maybe upset by this. Could be things that you've said. Swords are air energy, so these are thoughts that we're having, or exchanges, or words. So there might have been some sort of exchange that's now led you to some sort of verbal exchange that's led you to make some choices here. But you're grounded in your stability, and you're going to use your strength. I mean, sometimes this looks like a negative kind of card, but sometimes things just come out and words have to be said. Things have to be exchanged. It's not comfortable, but it sometimes can push you to a better place. What is on your mind this week is some judgment, and this could be, judgment of you or judgment from you, especially if there's some sort of argument or disagreement here. But judgment is ultimately about trying to get to the truth, is what judgment is about. And having that awareness of knowing what is right, what is wrong, and that can change over time. You may think one thing at this time, and change your mind. I mean, a judgment is about a new awareness. You may judge something differently now than you would have 5 years ago. So, but it's on your mind, that judgment. And again, maybe it's on your mind that you are judging someone, or someone is judging you, but it's kind of in the air, right? What is just ahead of you is a Tower moment. So, a lot of major arcana here on the top, on these top three cards, with Strength, Judgment, and the Tower card. So this is a disruption. This is a disruption, and maybe you're not to the point yet where you're going to make a decision, but your strength is going to be something that's going to come in and kind of be your guiding light. Here is the way I feel that whatever this disruption is going on, maybe this argument with others. Hold on, might have a sneeze here. Nope, caught it. Going through a summer cold situation here, so I tend to be a little sneezy. This Tower, it's a disruption. This whole situation looks like a disruption. But again, your overall advice is to balance your spirituality and practicality. So stick to your guns. I'm going to say be strong in your beliefs and the things that you believe, and live your life the way that that's whatever your moral code, your spiritual code, live your life in that manner. In your advice position is the Seven of Pentacles. And because this is in your advice position, these are seeds. This is a card about kind of waiting for the harvest. These are seeds that you've planted. And whatever this disruption, this is not something that doesn't I'm not saying that you intentionally planted these seeds, but I feel like you're kind of in the wake of something that maybe you did have a hand in, if that makes sense to does that make sense? That because this is in your advice position, is that these are seeds that were planted. And again, maybe, like I was talking about with judgment, what you think now you might not have thought 5 years ago. And that goes with actions too. You might have acted in a way 5 years ago that's now bringing on some sort of disruption. But there's seeds that you planted, and you might need to come face to face with that, and explain that, hey, I'm a different person now. I when I made this decision, da da da. Um, But anyway, it's kind of beyond your control that these are seeds that you've planted, and you're kind of seeing the results of that. Or that's in your advice position. What is beyond your control is your ultimate happiness. Okay, maybe you're just happy that this is maybe you're happy that this is happening. It is leading you to have some choices. Let's continue on here and let me get a bigger picture of everything. What is your secret desire, or what you're trying to avoid, is the Empress card. So is it your secret desire to be, to kind of have a creative approach to this? This is also our card of pregnancy. Are you secretly desiring to be pregnant or trying to avoid to be pregnant? Keep that in mind. But also, I always like to say that even though this is a card of pregnancy, it's also not about an actual baby, but giving birth to something that's long term. This could be getting into a relationship that's going to last long term. This could be taking a job or a project on that's going to last long term. It's not going to be something that's going to wrap up. It's something that you're kind of making decisions for a very long period of time here. Um, and so are you trying to avoid that? Are you trying to avoid making a choice that's going to affect the rest of your life? Or is that your secret desire when it comes to making these choices here? Very interesting. Okay, let's get an outcome card here. King of Cups. So you end up at the end of this week with the knowledge. The King of Cups is about not only understanding our own emotions, but also the emotions of your kingdom and how things work in your kingdom when it comes to, emotions and how things happen. Are you observing that? Is that it looks like, and this is about having that knowledge. Maybe some things were overlooked earlier in your life, and things are kind of coming to fruition that you're understanding, if that makes sense. Some of you that might make a lot of sense, but this reading is kind of all over the place this week, Scorpio. Balance, spirituality, and practicality tells me that you're going to have to make some decisions here that are maybe practical decisions. It's about being practical, but it's also about, again, sticking to your moral code, sticking to your spiritual code, the ways that you want to live your life. That's in which you need to make those decisions. So, we'll see what's hidden from you. I'm going to point out too that we've got two sevens here on the table. You may want to look up spirit number 77, see if that helps you out in this situation at all. What's hidden from you is the Ace of Pentacles this week. So, um, okay, so nothing new in the way of planting more seeds. It looks like you've got some stability. You're kind of waiting on a harvest to come in. I don't see that coming in this week. I'm not even sure if you make this decision this week. You are kind of evaluating everything. You're evaluating the emotions of everyone around you. Whatever this disruption and this judgment and these conversations and arguments, tarot is a template. It could be in almost any area of life for different Scorpios. For some of you, this could be a work situation. For some of you, this is a family situation. For some of you, this is a relationship situation. But you need to, your big question here on this week is, what do you want for your long term? What is it that you want to give birth to that will be consistent in your life for really the next, for your foreseeable future? This could go on for years. When the card of pregnancy, when you have a baby, yeah, that's a 9-month situation, but then that's you're a parent for life. So these kind of decisions that you're making are decisions that are very, very long term, and you need to be very careful about them. And again, I'm not even sure if you make a decision this week, but things are happening to put these decisions in motion, these big decisions that you do need to make. So let's get a final word here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final word for Scorpio from the Soul Oracle deck. Face your adversaries. I had that from another, I can't remember which reading, but I've seen that card today already. And live life to the fullest. And, not only live your life to the fullest, but live your life in the areas where you want to be strong, the ways that you've decided to be. It's okay to move forward and do things. You might have disagreements about it. There might be people around you that don't agree with the person that you're trying to be. But sometimes you gotta just stick it out and make the decisions and say, hey, it's my life. I'm going to do this thing. These are the decisions that I'm making, and there's a reason I'm doing it. It's because this involves how I want to be, spiritually, and I want to live that out in my life. Not everybody can handle decisions like that. So, Scorpio, I wish you the best of luck with the situation, whatever it is, and whatever part of your life it might be this week. If you're comfortable sharing, of course, drop me a comment down below and let me know, in what area of your life does this situation seem to ring true? Is it something you've got going on at work, or within your family, or within a relationship, within a friend group? It could be so many different things. So anyway, I wish you the best of luck. I do weekly readings, so come back next week and we'll see if this energy continues, or if the story continues on, or if there's a completely new energy here for you next week. So, Scorpio, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.